You are now watching I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel.
I shot him 6 times.
What's going on, horror fanatics? Welcome to I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. As you know, I'm your host and creator of the channel, Marcus. If you have not done so already, please shoot this video a like. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm a ton. As well as if you're a new viewer to this channel, please shoot that subscribe button as well as that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about a major continuation error that I came across while actually thinking about Halloween H2O. I like to think a lot of content creators do this. You know, you'll be thinking about a certain movie to talk about for content purposes, and then you'll start thinking about the dialogue from that film and what have you. And that's exactly what I got onto in terms of Halloween H2O. For some strange reason, the other day, I was just sitting here thinking about Halloween H2O and some of the dialogue from that movie. And something that I remembered from the beginning of that movie was when Detective Fitzsimmons comes in with his partner Matt Chapman after the death of Nurse Marion, her neighbor Jimmy Howe, and his friend Tony, was the conversation that they were having about how Dr. Loomis was, Nurse Marion's basically her patient after so many years. Like, basically he lived there in Nurse Marion's house after he had fell ill, what have you, and Chapman goes on to say, oh, isn't that doctor, who chased down that Halloween guy after all them years? And, Fitzsimmons goes on to say, yeah, Michael Myers. And then Chapman goes on to ask, hey, you don't think Michael Myers, basically insinuating that Michael Myers commit these murders? To which Fitzsimmons will go on to say this.
Hey, you don't think Michael Myers
Never found his body.
Now, you may ask, how is this piece of dialogue from Detective Fitzsimmons important? Well, it's important because that's your continuation error in Halloween H2O, as that piece of dialogue insinuates that Halloween H2O is picking up after the events of the original Halloween and not Halloween 2. And we know for a fact that Halloween 2 does exist in Halloween H2O's timeline because Laurie Strode, aka Carrie Tate, and her son John Tate reference it in the movie themselves.
And the girl, what happened to the sister? She died, right?
No, she faked her death.
You told me yourself you watched him burn.
Now, as you can hear and see, Halloween 2 was referenced twice in that clip with Laurie Strode that I showed you from Halloween H2O. As her boyfriend asks her about, the sister, what she died, right? We have to keep in mind, Laurie Strode did not find out Michael Myers was her brother until Halloween 2. Another thing that is also to keep in mind with this scene here is that Laurie says that she faked her death. Well, we know that whole faked her death scenario didn't come about until Halloween 4, which was a direct sequel from Halloween 2 and the events after Halloween 2 where they rid off the Laurie Strode character because that's what Jamie Lee Curtis wanted, and they basically killed her off screen. So that's the two references right there from Laurie Strode. And then we actually got her son John Tate referencing the fact that Laurie said herself that she saw Michael burn to death, which is why this piece of dialogue from Detective Fitzsimmons is truly mind-boggling to me, especially for somebody who has obviously been a townie of Haddonfield for so long and seems to know the story of Michael Myers. It's kind of mind-boggling how he seems to not know that Michael Myers survived those 6 shots from Dr. Loomis, made his way to the hospital in Halloween 2, and proceeded to kill more people until he was burned to a crisp. And the reason, now some of you will say, well, Marcus, what if he was referencing, the fact that after he was burned, they never found his body? That really doesn't make sense, for the simple fact is, you mean to tell me Michael Myers would get up again after being burned, after he fell down in Halloween 2 while he's burning to death? He gets up and walks away and nobody notices that he's walking away? Yeah, so definitely this was a major continuation error that I peeped out here from this piece of dialogue from Detective Fitzsimmons in Halloween 2, something that I actually thought about while thinking about this movie and thinking about certain scenes and dialogue. And another thing real quick before I get off of here in this video is another thing that was a continuation error that I peeped out while making this video, while, you know, going through all this, is that if you actually look at Michael Myers in the movie, it was a terrible continuation of the character, for the simple fact is Michael Myers looks clean. He doesn't even look like he was burned. You know, they didn't do a great job really following with the events, or following with the aftermath of the events of Halloween 2. They didn't do a great job really explaining how did Michael Myers pop up after 20 years, and, you know, he's not burned up, he seems unscathed. You know, after, you know, really going through it and going through these details with this piece of dialogue and all that stuff, I started to think about that as well and decided to put that here in the video. So, I mean, you know, does it change my perception on Halloween H2O? No, I think Halloween H2O is still a really good sequel in the Halloween franchise. I think it's actually one of the better sequels of the original timeline. So, you know, these little mistakes doesn't really change how I feel about the movie. I think it's still a great sequel. I think it's still a great watch. And it's not something, these little details aren't something that is going to really hamper my watchability with Halloween H2O. But I definitely thought that it was something that would be nice to touch on, especially for a lot of us, like myself, who might not be aware to this piece of dialogue and how it can be a continuation era in the timeline of Halloween H2O as well as Halloween 2. But okay, everyone, that is it for this video. Leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts on these continuation errors that I pointed out from Halloween H2O. Do these continuation errors change your thoughts and opinions on the film, or does these continuation errors and findings that I pointed out have no bearing on your rewatchability and your overall thoughts of Halloween H2O? Leave a comment. I would love to hear from you all. Once again, this is I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. I'm your host and creator, Marcus. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. Thank you all for watching.